Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about The Aviator, and this movie is directed by Martin Scorsese and stars Leonardo DiCaprio, and it came out in 2004, and I thought it was pretty good. It's not one of my favorite Scorsese movies, but it's still solid at the very least, and this movie is almost 3 hours long, and I didn't feel the runtime too much, and I'll get into that later, but overall I liked the first 2 hours and 15 minutes more than the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie kind of goes on for too long, but for the most part, I was with it, and I really enjoyed what this movie explored. It made the character of Howard Hughes a character you can relate to, and you can understand him as a character, and there's lots of things going on with this character, and he's afraid of germs, and it's like there's so much going on with this character, and I'm not even going to sum it up here, but there's definitely a lot and more that happens to his character as the movie goes along, and I think Leonardo DiCaprio captures that pretty well, and I think he's really good in the movie. And the story is always interesting, and there's always something going on, and this movie doesn't really have any filler, and everything goes along at a really nice pace, and the characters are well realized, and the performances are really good, and Cate Blanchett, I thought she was great in the movie, and she worked really well, and her character was really good, and I mean, not like likable in every sense. Like, there are things to like and dislike about her character, and she's not in the movie for the entirety of it, but when she's on screen, she's great, and she always serves her purpose, and Kate Beckinsale, same thing. I thought she was really good, and I liked the idea that Howard Hughes isn't allowed to buy her anything, not even a present, except the only thing you can buy her is dinner, and that's about it. And that's a joke that happens a lot throughout the movie. And John C. Reilly, I thought he was really good as well, and this movie really explores everything you need to know about Howard Hughes to understand him as a character. And the movie opens up with him as like a young child, and then it's him making the movie Hell's Angels, and then it goes along to many other things, and the movie is just filled with information, and it never stops, and the music was good, and it always felt like I was in the time period that it was set in. Like, this movie kind of starts mostly in like the 20s, then the 30s, and a little bit of the 40s, and lots of stuff happens. And Martin Scorsese likes to like make really long movies and really explore everything you can with like just this basic story, like on paper basic, like just explore anything and everything you can with this one subject, and he fleshes everything out and makes it really interesting. And I really love the presentation of the film. It's also very well shot, and the production of everything is great. It feels like it's in the time period it's set in, like I've said already, like with the music, and that also goes along with the production and the sets, and I never felt like I was on a set. In terms of issues that I have with the movie, like I said, I enjoyed most of the movie. I wasn't bored by it, but I do feel as though this movie is a bit too long, like just 15-20 minutes. Not a whole lot, but I do feel as though it was a bit too long and kind of dragged at certain points, like towards the end. Like, for most of it, I was fine with it. And overall, this isn't really a huge criticism towards the movie itself, but it's kind of just me comparing it to other Scorsese movies, and that is that it doesn't impact me as much as Goodfellas, The Irishman, Taxi Driver, or The Last Temptation of Christ. Like, those movies really left an impact on me, and I'm always thinking about them, and like, they affected me, and I can remember them. This movie, it definitely had an impact on me like those movies, but not in the same way that those other other four did. And because of that, it just doesn't impact me as much. That's why it's not as memorable to me. Not to say that it's a boring movie or doesn't offer me anything at all, but it just doesn't give me that same like impact like those other movies do. And this movie does have some elements that kind of bump it up to a great movie. And it was kind of experimental in ways, like there was some split screen, like showing two different perspectives at the same time. And that way information is presented a little bit faster. And you get to see characters reacting, and that happens a couple times in the movie, and it's sprinkled in there. And another thing that I wanted to mention, and this is going to be me comparing like why most of the movie was engaging for me, and it kind of just loses me a little bit. And one thing that I really love about this movie are the flight scenes in the movie, and like them experimenting on these airplanes, and the making of Hell's Angels, and how much of like a disaster that was, and like just trying to get that movie made, and testing out these different airplanes, and it's like eventually things don't always work out, and all that is really great, and it's really well paced. And then after a while it just turns into like politics, and once that element starts getting involved in the movie, that's where it kind of loses me, because all that stuff that I just mentioned, those were like super engaging. I was super on board, and I really loved the relationship between Leonardo DiCaprio and Cate Blanchett. Like those two characters, like I thought they were really great, and I liked seeing them on screen. And even if those two characters weren't getting along, it was still engaging for me. And I always liked seeing Howard Hughes and like being afraid of germs. And there's loads of really great scenes in this movie. And once we get to away from those scenes, that's where it kind of loses me. And I'm like, it makes sense to do that. And you're watching a character slowly have his life be torn apart. And as interesting as that is, it's just not as engaging for me as the rest of the movie, because it kind of just gets a little boring after a while. But there is a point where it does pick up for me, and I enjoyed the last 15-20 minutes of the movie. And that stuff I really enjoyed, and I can't say what that is because I don't want to spoil it, but it was really good, and there's lots of really great scenes in this movie, and because of that, I can recommend this movie, and there's more good things than negatives. I can say that much about it, and I would highly recommend it. Ignoring the almost 3-hour long runtime, I do feel as though it is worth your time. And with all that being said, I'm going to give The Aviator an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought The Aviator, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for American Beauty. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.